there's been further reaction from Donald Trump.
There has, Lauren. Trump spoke at a joint news conference with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in Japan earlier today, and he anticipated the turn of the conversation as follows each mass shooting in the United States, the question of gun control and whether more tight gun laws may have prevented this.
Mental health is your problem here.
Gunman's motive?
Nothing from police so far, Lauren, though we are expecting a briefing shortly. There are reports, though, that the gunman's parents-in-law were attendees of this church. They were not present at yesterday's service, however. Police have also identified a property that belonged to this gunman. They have combed it over for evidence. No word yet on what was found, but according to neighbors there, they had heard sounds of explosions and gunfire for the days and weeks before this massacre. Lauren.
Heidi, Zhou, Castro, thank you very much indeed. Well, the US President has wrapped up his trip to... So, Heidi, what more do we know now about the gunman's motives?
Hey, Lauren. So investigators have given us an update saying that the motives here were not terrorism related. They were not religiously inspired, but rather came from a domestic issue. As you mentioned, there was a text message that investigators described as threatening that the shooter, Devin Kelley, had sent to his mother-in-law, who is a congregant of this church. Now, she and her husband were not present during Sunday's massacre. We also know more about this 26-year-old who lived in a neighboring county, that he had received a bad conduct discharge from the U.S. Air Force 3 years ago. That had resulted from him being jailed in military jail for a year after assaulting his former wife and his child at that time. We also know that Kelley purchased at least 4 weapons in the last 4 years since he left the military. It's still being investigated how he was able to do so when a dishonorable discharge would have made him ineligible to purchase a firearm. But what we do know is that the result of him coming to this church on Sunday, those 26 victims dead, the youngest of whom we're told was only 18 months old. Lauren.
Heidi, Zhou, Castro, thank you very much indeed. Well, during a news conference in Tokyo, US President Donald Trump